I think it helps, like, just go back to the conversation we were having 45 minutes ago, right? It's like you can pick somebody's brain about like technical things until the cows come home. But I think the value of the connectivity, especially between Joe and I, is like if I have like a business question or a managerial question, like the odds that Joe's dealt with something very similar are extremely high, and he's like a completely invaluable resource for, my own development, and just, as like a sounding board for when you're dealing with issues like that. And I think that's extremely important too.
Having a collaborative network of people, not just in the engineering side, but like across different skill sets, is super important. And just being able to pull from those resources, like people you trust, I think is the biggest thing too. It's invaluable.
I inherently know that you have good judgment.
Welcome back to the Workshop presented by Aplin Martin. On today's episode, I'm joined by two gentlemen who hold important leadership roles within their respective disciplines, Joseph Kyllo of Primary Engineering and returning guest Don Bevacqua of Aplin Martin. Together, the two gentlemen display what it means to be partners as consultants during development projects and discuss their successes over the years of project collaboration. Joseph and Don highlight the importance of building trust at a personal and professional level and prove that the cornerstone of any solid relationship is shared values. It was awesome to hear Joseph and Don share their history, working relationship, and stories within the industry, and I hope you all enjoy. So Don being one of our first repeat guests, I'm not going to bore everybody again with kind of your background and all of that. But Joseph, I do want to hear kind of your story and how you got to where you are today. So if you want to give a brief background about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how many years have you spent in the industry?
Sounds good. Yeah. So I grew up in Calgary. I was born in the late 80s, right around when the Flames won the cup.
And still waiting.
So I don't remember it, unfortunately, and I'm still waiting. It might be a while. And I grew up in Calgary, and I was there until I was 18. Didn't really love the winters in Calgary. When I was a teenager, I kind of got into like BMX riding. I still ride BMX today.
He has handlebars tattooed on his foot. For what it's worth.
Your peak, yeah. He covers all up. He wears the long sleeves to the big boy meetings.
Some late night decisions were maybe not so good back then.
It's okay, look at
me. So I was like, man, I got to get out of Calgary. Like, it's snowing in May. Screw this. So I went to UVic and went into engineering. I'm from a family of engineers. Kind of felt like the most logical thing to do.
Yeah.
And from there, spent a bunch of time at UVic. I initially wanted to go into mechanical. I ended up partying a little too hard in first year. Couldn't get into mechanical. So electrical it was. That was a blessing in disguise. I'm like, that was lucky that I got into electrical at the time instead of mechanical. Really happy about that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of went from there. Did a bunch of co-ops at BC Hydro, and then eventually found my way into the industry.
Very cool. Did you have any influences, like whether it was family or friends, that kind of steered you to electrical after the fact, or while you were kind of still deciding?
Well, unfortunately, UVic only has it was mechanical, electrical, or computer and software. So it was
there's really only 2 of 3 options here for me.
I'm not doing software. Yeah. Computer, I was like, nah. So I really didn't have much of a choice. I was like, if I don't like it, I'll just switch. I'll get my grades up and then I'll switch.
Yeah.
So what are the engineers that are in your family mechanical engineers, and that's what was like driving you to that originally, or?
My mom is a civil engineer.
Okay.
She went to school in Manitoba. She actually was like one of the early women engineers
especially in the prairies too.
Yeah, it was quite the thing back then. And then my dad's a petroleum tech. He's from Calgary. So she ended up going into the oil industry, but really between the two of them, I was like, I'm good at math and physics.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going into engineering. Sorry, what was the question? I totally forgot.
Oh, no, I was just curious what your parents' backgrounds were in the technical field. So
makes
sense. Yeah, you answered that.
So good.
Very cool. And then now currently, what position do you hold and at where?
Yeah, so I'm with Primary Engineering and Construction. We are electrical telecommunications company.
Yep.
And my position is Chief Strategy Officer, which is kind of a weird position.
Does that have an acronym?
They don't want me to use it because it's CSO, and then that could also be like safety or something else. So it's not very
Chief
clear.
Safety Officer. Yeah, okay.
Really what it was, like I was the vice president of business development, and like I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I can do work on projects. I can do work like in the company. I understand a decent amount on the finance side and all these other things. So I kind of just go where I was needed, and I was finding like I wanted to go do a lot of biz dev, but there'd be all this stuff internally that would be kind of like a constraint to the growth. So instead, I would just go and like work on stuff internally a lot.
Okay, so you kind of, exactly. So you kind of switch depending on the needs of whatever is going on at that specific time.
Exactly. So like, it's not really like indicative of my role to be biz dev because half the time I'm not even doing biz dev. So that's why we switched it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then how did you get started at Primary, and then how many years kind of have you spent through that process?
Yeah, so kind of an interesting story. I started Primary in 2010, but before that I did a bunch of co-ops at BC Hydro. And then I did one co-op at a consulting firm too. I kind of found through that, I'm like, yeah, the hydro wasn't the right fit for me. Just the style of work, kind of the more government type of roles.
Yeah.
And then I did another job at a consulting firm, and just culture-wise, wasn't a good fit either. So I kind of like came out of all this like from school being really like have no idea what I was gonna do, and I had this plan that I was gonna just like make enough money to move to Australia and ride my bike on a beach for. I was like, I just had this idea in my head that I was going to move to Australia and like work at a bike shop for a couple of years.
Okay. You're just like riding your bike for 3 months a year. You want to ride
He's
for
like,
12.
let's go 12 and forget everything.
Let's go to literally the opposite end of the earth. Yeah.
And my dad he was like, no, you should probably come back to Alberta and go in the oil industry. And I was like, not so excited about that.
Yeah.
So you compromised and went back to Alberta and worked in engineering. Yeah.
So what I did was I had a close friend who was actually my boss at BC Hydro for a while, and I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I hear you're working for this company. I didn't really know what the company was.
Yeah.
I'd love to work for you guys for a little bit, do some drafting work, and then just to make enough money so I can leave.
Just get me out.
And what was interesting, it was like the one instance I could think of like fate is he never got I wrote him an email and he never got my email. And then like 2 days later he called me and he's like, hey, do you want to interview for this job?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. Did you get my email? And he's like, no, what email? So I went in and interviewed, and it was like he ended up being my boss for quite a while. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He's a little bit hard to read at times. So he was like going through like this job, and it just sounded like totally crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I really had no idea what the job was when I started. They offered me a job, like, and the rest was history.
Yeah.
And that job ended up being like everything, which is why it was so confusing. Because he's like, yeah, you're going to do the admin, the drafting, the PM, and like all the design work.
Wow. So kind of now,
And you're like, what is electrical engineering?
let's start at step 1. Maybe not step 25.
yeah, exactly. So it was really trial by fire, but that got me hooked.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about that then, I guess. Kind of the trial by fire, and I guess those early couple of years of you kind of going through your career. Can you kind of can you describe those early years, the struggles, what did you do to kind of get past that, and what kind of advice would you pass on then to younger people that kind of feel that burden? I don't want to call it a burden, but that sort of imminent feeling when they start to first get into the working field.
Right, for sure. Yeah. So when I started, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing, and I came in and we were working out of like half of a duplex, and I was really their first employee, and then my friend was working part-time drafting, and right away I was like, hey, we got like 10 projects, and it's quickly going to turn into like 40, and you gotta like do everything basically.
You gotta work.
Yeah, I found there was things I'm not good at doing, like a lot of the administrative stuff.
I was just going to ask.
It was a mess when I came in, and it was a mess when we hired someone. But it was hard because like I was kind of a shy kid. I didn't have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And like now I'm like half the time no one's even in the office. Like I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm calling clients, like I'm going to meetings and stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
like 23 years old. So yeah, it took like it was really like you just had to kind of like you're uncomfortable, you're anxious, but you kind of just push through.
Yeah.
And it just gets easier and easier the more you do that. And then
Was there anything specific that you did to kind of push through that? Like, was there like a trick? Were there certain tricks that you would do, or was there certain like a balance sort of thing that you like once you get home, you're like, okay, I need to unwind by X amount of time or something in order to kind of refresh, refuel, and then get back at it kind of the next day, like to avoid that sort of burnout.
yeah, for sure. You know, yes, over time I learned that, but when in the early days I was like all in, like I was hooked right away because I wanted like what I didn't like about the other positions I had was I wanted something where people trusted me and gave me a lot of like rope and freedom to try to be successful. So even though a lot of these things were super uncomfortable, I was so driven that I just kind of pushed through doing it. Yeah.
And you get the taste of like earned autonomy from day one there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously that's like something that's super attractive about consulting in general. But now I know why you've been primary for 18 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first day I was like, asked my boss, I'm like, so what time do you want me to come in? He's like, I don't care. And he's like, I was like, you know, should I like lunch breaks?
Yeah, like whatever.
Like when should I stop working? Can I take like half day Friday? He's like, dude, do whatever you want. As long as the clients are happy, like just, yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Get it
And
done.
I was like, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
I've always kind of gravitated towards like freedom, I guess, and having the freedom to kind of be successful and make or break my
Very
own
cool.
side. Yeah.
So with all of those kind of different tasks, like you said, trial by fire.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, like you mentioned before, there were obviously certain struggles and stuff like that. Looking back, was there any advice that you would give to a young Joseph, kind of that would start that would say to people again, starting to getting into the consulting field that may feel overwhelmed by all of this pressure?
Yeah, for sure. Like some of it is being uncomfortable is not a bad thing, and a lot of times so you gotta push through some of that. Through like the earlier stages of my career, I was like I said, all in, but especially as like I quickly moved into leading people and kind of breaking out on my own in my own office. And it was too much. Like I was like 25 and you're dealing with all these things. You're trying to manage staff.
Yep.
You're like having to let people go. And I didn't know how to deal with it. Like I internalized a lot of those stresses.
Yeah.
And there was like points, like now my wife, I went up to a cabin with her and her family, and her family looked at me and they're like, he looks like he's dying.
Are you nourished? Do you need anything? Can we get you something?
Like, I look like a corpse. And like the stress was just way too much.
Yeah.
And, you know, like looking back, like I'm happy with it. Like everything worked out the way it did.
Yeah.
I got through it and I learned a lot of good lessons through that. But like I would tell myself, like, you know, like take your time. Like you don't need to push yourself to that point. Work is only part of your life. It's an important part, but it's not by any means anything.
Yeah.
Like you have to take care of the other aspects of life, and you have to like have other things in your life that you're motivated and balanced by.
Yeah, like don't rush through certain moments that you may think are small at the time, but that you're going to look back and be like, oh, shit, I regret kind of not taking advantage of that.
Yeah, because it can take over like anything. Like I'm one of those types of people. Like I'll like if you give me a challenge like that, I'll go like all in, like way too deep. But you have to have other ways to balance out your life, and the sooner you can like learn to do that, the more capacity you have actually for work too.
Yeah.
And it'll make you a better employee.
Yeah. It's awesome to hear your story and hear all of that. Obviously, Don's sitting here as well. So he's actually been pretty quiet for so far, which has been good. It's just like, it might be a record. But again, you guys have obviously worked together for a number of years now. And again, this is kind of the topic that I want to talk about today is the partnership between two consulting firms coming together to work on different projects. So can you guys talk about how and when you guys first met?
Yeah, like I think it was 2017-ish.
Ish.
It was around the time that I started working with Derek Hall. Derek Hall was connected with Joe, and we started using Joe's team for like their customer build program with BC Hydro. So for like single family and townhome projects that we're working on, Joe's team can come in and do all of the design for BC Hydro. And like on our projects that we work on, BC Hydro is like always the critical path, and they basically need all of the consulting team to be done, all of their engineering work before they get started. And then they come in and take months to do the design and make us all change everything around.
Yeah.
And the process was just absolutely broken. So Joe's team could come in and do the design with us as the design from the remaining consultants was progressing. So it was like more conducive with like how to efficiently and effectively deliver a project.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I started working with Joe's team in 2017, which was kind of around the start of that program, I think.
Yeah,
close to.
It started in Victoria quite a bit before that, but it came to the mainland actually 2013.
Okay, so it was established for a few years then.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, you get the taste of delivering a project in an efficient and
Certain
effective
way.
manner, and then it's like, why aren't we doing this every single time?
Yeah.
And Joe's team really stood out to us from the other teams locally who provided a similar service, just
Yeah.
in terms of like overlap of core values and like the things that they cared about were the same things that we cared about. So we had the same goals for our clients, the same goals for our projects. So it just was natural to
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, it just,
The meshing, yeah.
kind of just like took over at that point.
Yeah, the collaboration.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the first project then that you guys both together, maybe not with you and Derek, but you two specifically have worked on together?
For me, it was probably like the first phase of Fleetwood Village that we did
Yeah.
for Dawson Sawyer, because that was 2017. That was like one of the first projects I worked on with Derek.
Right.
And yeah, it was just like this master planned condo and townhouse site for one of our key clients, and yeah, it was great. It was great, and now it's crazy. Like I drove past that site a couple weeks ago, and there's like a couple thousand condo units going up,
wow.
and there's like 500 townhomes that have been built, and it's like literally this little village.
Wow.
That we just kind of built out of two old trailer parks.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool.
And then
Mobile home parks.
yeah, right, correction.
Yeah.
And then going from there, how has this relationship kind of grown between you two and Primary back when you said 2013 probably in Victoria, and then 2017 kind of here in the mainland. From 2017 to 2025 now, how has that relationship kind of grown between you two? And in turn, Aplin and Primary, as both companies have kind of, I don't want to say grown up together, but have kind of progressed in the same direction.
Yeah, like talk about a project for a second. But like I think quickly we realized like our delivery models were stronger together, and same with Don and I, and then the people who work for Primary that Don also works with, because we kind of push that same communication.
Yeah.
Not requirements, but expectations on everyone, and pretty early on too, like Southlands.
Yeah.
Kind of started, and then that's like a whole other level of challenge for the whole consulting team. But there was a lot of coordination between us, specifically Don and myself, to kind of bring that thing to fruition. And yeah, like that was one of my favorite project experiences was that project, the client, and working with Don.
Yeah, it still is. It's cool. Master planned community out in Delta. I think the original land holdings were like 135 acres. And there's like the redevelopment component is about like 35 or 40 range. But,
wow.
It's like proximity to the ocean. There's like all these different housing types in there now.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see what has like become of the, that project process. It's cool.
Definitely. So then could you say that not only the scale of projects, but also the number of projects that you guys have kind of worked on together, or even just Primary and Aplin kind of from 2017 to now has grown in number and then in size from 2017 to 2025?
Totally. I think even just like the types of projects too, because, we started out by having the integration between our businesses of like the customer build delivery for hydro, and then, you know, street lighting design, traffic signal design. But, you know, even up until last year, I was personally working with Joe's team on like a significant feeder extension that they were doing across 3 municipalities, like a 5-kilometer extension, which was going to feed like a ton of the growth for the region. And, you know, we needed to find a way to strategically deliver some complicated survey and other civil engineering components to support them.
Yeah.
And we got to, you know, be able to use our latest and greatest drone technology to like utilize drone for surveys. 'Cause like the survey, for example, was along one of the busiest arterial roads in the Fraser Valley. And, you know, imagine doing topo survey on an arterial road when you have to like try to do road cross sections every 20 meters. Like it would have taken months to do the topo and get it delivered, right? So we got to fly it in 2 days, and they had the topo in their hands like 7 business days later. So it was like, you know, those other opportunities that have just kind of naturally came from us working together on projects are cool.
Yeah, I think it works out well because like we're not ever going to be experts on the civil side. And you're probably not
good. I was going to say, like, ask Gita all the dumb questions I ask around street lighting. Like, we have this one here. Why can't we move it over here?
Yeah.
It's like,
so they kind of fit well together because we're reliant on one another. Usually, like Aplin's in first and with the developer, so it's they really appreciate. Thank you, giving us the the nod, saying, "Hey, primary is good to work with."
Yeah.
Usually now they know, but back in the day that was really important. And but now we're kind of finding other ways where we have like a hydro contract, similar to you have a municipal contract, or like have these projects that we can collaborate on and return the favor.
Yeah.
So
now looking at it from a different perspective, not only just say when you guys are working together, what kind of benefits are there having another, say, industry leader or a leader in a different industry, say you ask him questions or he asks you questions, where you guys are both able to lean on each other for each other's kind of knowledge in certain situations?
I think it helps, like, just go back to the conversation we were having 45 minutes ago, right? It's like you can pick somebody's brain about like technical things until the cows come home. But I think the value of the connectivity, especially between Joe and I, is like if I have like a business question or a managerial question, like the odds that Joe's dealt with something very similar are extremely high, and he's like a completely invaluable resource for my own development, and just as like a sounding board for when you're dealing with issues like that. And I think that's extremely important too.
Having a collaborative network of people, not just in the engineering side, but like across different skill sets, is super important. And just being able to pull from those resources, like people you trust, I think is the biggest thing too. It's invaluable.
I inherently know that you have good judgment.
Usually if I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, which is also good.
Some people will not do that.
Well, now that's kind of where I was going at it. So now I want to move past that. And obviously not every time that you guys are going to work together or you work with other consultants are going to be 10 out of 10, recommend 5 stars, right? Has there ever been a time where you guys have been frustrated with each other or with other sub-consultants? And then how are you able to move past that, whether, again, if it was you two head on or if it was with other consultants? How are you able to kind of take that and be like, okay, this may not work the best right now, but I'm able to move past it and we can still get this project complete?
I'll take this to start.
I was going to say, if you want to make it back, sure. First, I don't know who wants to.
For a long time, like we were good at doing the hydro, but it made sense to do the lighting because it's like, oh, you're going to hire another electrical engineer to do the lighting on the street. So we're like, okay, we need to do the lighting. But we honestly, like, it just wasn't at the same level of service for quite a while. And I know we've talked about it. I would be constantly fielding, not constantly, but I feel a lot of calls about the service level not being there. It's tough. So we took a long time, a few different iterations to kind of get it to where it is now.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Like now, on the flip side, you guys are an industry leader in terms of like the service that you provide in just that sector alone.
Right.
without the coupling of the other business sectors too, right? So speaks volumes and with respect to like how much better it is now. It's great, but like it does take a long time, right? But even in those instances, it's like we've got a submission and we need these drawings, and Joe's team committed to having them to us yesterday at the end of the day, and I'm like on submission day waiting, and but it's just like you call up Joe and it's like, look, man, here's what we need, like you got to help us out here, and like having somebody who you can trust on the other end of the phone there, who's going to pick up your call and is going to fix the issue, like that's what makes all the difference in the world.
So kind of, again, just building up that trust network to where if you know that there will be, because then again, not every project goes smoothly the entire time. There are going to be bumps in the road, right? But when there are those bumps, you can have that other person there that will be able to kind of take that on for you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like no group's ever going to bat 100.
No.
And, sometimes like, and we're not always, every company has issues. So I think Don knew that I knew there was issues and I was working on it. It's like, just give me this damn project.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll get you the project.
Yeah.
And we'll keep working on the issues.
So when it happens, right? But I think that's like the true test of like the core tenets of the people of that company is like how you recover from those issues, because when we're hitting home runs, like
it's easy, life's easy, it's perfect.
Right?
It's really easy to look past that stuff.
Yeah.
So now looking back to kind of, again, when you guys first started to see when you guys were a right fit for each other, and I know you guys had mentioned kind of some of these values and all these things aligned. Was there anything specific within those values that you can talk to that made it seem like you guys, again, were the right partners to work together, not just the firms, but you guys individually? Because again, project manager at the time, or engineer to engineer, there are certain people that you do work better with. Maybe you might not be similar personalities, if anything, could be opposite, right? But are there certain qualities that you look in a person when starting a new work relationship?
Yeah, I think for me, the two things that stuck out were, we talked about like the clear communication protocols. Like their team was like punctual with respect to responding to emails, always returning voicemails. Like the clear line of communication was there, which like that's a fundamental, core tenet into sub-consultant interactions here. So that was like number one for me. And then I think number two was like a creative approach towards problem solving. It's one thing that irks me a lot about other consultants that we work on with projects in general, where, there's an issue and people draw their line in the sand and like aren't willing to come to the table with solutions and options. They're just like, well, we have to put this thing here, so move your shit around it, right? Like,
there's only an A, there's no B.
Yeah. So it was that collaborative approach, which, I really appreciated too. So that, like, those are the two big things that stand out for me.
Yeah, like, I think the biggest one, there's a level of trust that we've talked about, that takes time to build. It's really easy to lose that, between two people, but also, between two companies. For us, like, you mentioned the communication. It was just having people like, and we get it all the time too, because we're under a ton of pressure to deliver, and you're reaching out like, hey, I need this space, and then a lot of times it gets dumped on you, like, and then you have one day to turn out a streetlight drawing. Like, great. So like just having that proactive kind of like communication where we're like, Don's telling me like, hey, this space is going to be ready here. I'm going to need it back on this date. Yeah. And so it's not like just a mad scramble all the time. It's super important.
Very cool. So now, I know you guys have mentioned some of the projects you guys have worked on before. Is there one that kind of stands out above the rest that you guys are like super proud of, that one's like you're almost like your landmark project kind of together?
I would say it's Southlands.
It's
100%.
Yeah.
Like Southlands is like a landmark project for our firm in general. Mm-hmm. It's one of those like unicorn, extremely unique projects that, especially in Metro Van, you just don't get like greenfield development like that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and hats off to Century Group as well, because they've also made it like an extremely innovative project with respect to like utilizing unique road cross sections and like really integrating with the surrounding agricultural land uses and being like innovative on like building topology and aesthetics. And it's, they're trying to make something extremely unique and different. And like, it's been delivered like really successfully too, which is cool.
I don't think I could say it that much better than that.
without regurgitating. Yeah.
Part of what makes like a project like rewarding for me is the people you're working with, and obviously Don, we've talked enough about him, but
Yeah, we can leave him out now.
Throw some shade here. Let's mix it up a little bit.
But we were working with Brad. I just had lunch with him yesterday, actually, and it's just like he was so passionate about his vision for the project.
Yeah.
And committed to it. And when we ran into problems, and there was problems, we all, we just worked together and found solutions, and that's really what makes it too.
Very cool. So now looking towards kind of the future and future working partnerships, obviously, again, as both companies kind of continue to grow and the projects continue to grow and the scale of them and number of them, what does that future of collaboration look like between you two and then the firms together?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just continuing to do more of, I don't want to say like more of the same, but,
Yeah.
I just look back on how the relationship has grown over the last 8 years and how there's been like more and more integration across our other business units and our other regions. And, that's kind of like my hope too, is, as you guys continue to do work across Canada, we can continue to do work across Canada together, just, in an increased fashion. So.
Yeah, it's interesting, like Chesley out in Ontario, and then now Andrea from our team is a manager in Ontario, and they're working together there where they started working together here. So just seeing more of that, I think we are unique in a way where we can continue to help each other out. The companies aren't really threats to one another at this point, and maybe that'll change. But for now, the projects are getting bigger.
Yeah.
They're in more regions, and we fit well together. You do civil, we do electrical. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity. And from what I've seen in other regions, like in Kelowna and Ben Rollinson, people like that, the culture is the same.
Yeah. So it's again the approach that as the industry succeeds, then you can see kind of the partnership in both companies to continue to succeed themselves.
For sure. Like none of this is a zero-sum game, right?
Yeah.
So there's room for everybody to grow together, and that's kind of.
But as far as us, I'm not on the project side as much. I think Don's
One foot in the door, 1 foot out. Yeah.
One more than the other.
Yeah.
and so it's more of like colleagues now. Share experiences, play a game of golf here and there. Just learn from each other and what we're going through.
Yeah.
I don't profess to know everything, and either is he, I'm guessing.
I certainly don't.
So
Jack of all trades, master of none,
Yeah.
right? So
so you just need people in your corner. I know Don's in my corner, so.
Very cool. Now, I'd like to end off with this question here. What tips would you give to, say, somebody that's just coming out of school, that's just getting into the consulting field, and they're struggling to kind of make the partnership or, I guess, the collaborative effort that you guys have kind of had on the networking side, right? What tips would you give to somebody that's looking to make more of an effort to create these kind of partnerships, whether it's within their own company or company to company, somebody that's kind of struggling with that communication?
I mean, you kind of have to, the thing that I found that was the most successful was like having a two-pronged approach to developing those relationships. Like you can't really just develop a personal relationship with people in the industry without also working on projects with them at the same time when you're in that stage of your career. But it's important to do both at the same time. Like, I'll just take like city staff as an example, or even a client, right? Like you can't really do an incredible job at business development and bringing future work in the door with a client by just taking them out for beers or having coffee with them.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be also like something you're executing on or like challenges you're going through. Like it's just like a relationship with a significant other. Like, the good stuff is forged in the shitty times, right? And so like going through those challenges together, but you need the other bucket. Time.
It can't just all be fun. There's got to be some sort of.
And if it's just all work, like it's just gonna almost feel like a transactional relationship at that point too. So like you need to do the personal side of things so you can also understand like how to communicate with somebody and like just get to know them as a person too.
Yeah, just kind of quick story, but when we first moved to Vancouver, or I moved to Vancouver to start the office here. Like I had the most experience out of all the consultants because
Yeah.
I'd been doing it in Victoria for 3 years, and no one would talk to me. Like I think I won 4 jobs the first year.
Yeah.
And Aplin was like, well, who is this primary company?
Yeah.
It's tough. So you build that relationship from like you get your chances.
Yeah.
They're few and far between, and then you do an amazing job. You knock those projects out of the park. One of the projects I knocked out of the park led me to meeting Derek.
Yeah.
And then it went from there. But the same thing is like kind of true personally too. Like there is a little bit of just that you earn it, you work hard, you show people you're competent, and you put yourself out there.
Yeah. So execute when kind of given the opportunities, and then as well make an approach on the personal side to show your colors, your personality. Hey, here's something else we can do on top of just the work side that we can offer you guys as well.
Yeah. And the only other thing with that is like, yeah, you got to execute on the opportunities, but it's also okay to make mistakes. Like I've made a ton of mistakes.
So am I.
Yeah.
Even Brad yesterday when I got lunch with him, he was like, yeah, just like those people that duck and cover and like try to point the finger that they didn't do it. And it's like, it's so obvious. So just like own it and figure out how you're not going to make that mistake again. That's even the clients want to see that. Like taking ownership is so important.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, like the mistake is already made, so you may as well just work your ass off on a solution, right? Like, what else can you do?
Worse, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Take it, own it, learn from it. So then that way, the next time you are given that opportunity or something else happens, you know exactly how to deal with it. Not only yourself, but your team as well. And you can pass that knowledge on.
Yeah, and like I found like a lot of the mistakes that we've made have made our client relationships stronger because of how we gained trust in how we fixed it.
Yeah. And then you own it and are able to go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And
Well, they
can
know
see
you're
it.
honest if you're like if you're being honest and candid with them about it, right? So
They know, yeah, and they know you got their back because some people wouldn't have their back.
Yeah.
and they know that.
Is there one specific one that you can kind of remember that you're alluding to there where there was?
There's so many. This is an internal one, I guess. But we one of the first jobs we won, like that kind of started building our portfolio. We quoted the HydroWorks design build, so we quote the material. Well, we left all the transformers out of the quote, and so we won the job, obviously.
Like, well, look at that. Is there a zero that's supposed to be added?
And then it's not my fault. I was on vacation. Just kidding. It was, yeah. So I'm like, what's wrong with this budget? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I was like, oh no. And I think that day I just went home because like I was like, it was a decent chunk of change.
Yeah.
But that got us that job, and we didn't go to the client and say, hey, we screwed up our quote. Give us another like 50 grand or whatever it was. We ate it. We knocked it out of the park. And that client's been our client for the last like 12 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think they don't really ever go to anyone besides us.
Wow.
So like, we turned a bad situation into a good one, and we ended up, picking the client over our own bottom line on that one.
Yeah. So again, it's like realizing it, but then turning it into something positive for everybody to take something out of.
Exactly. Yeah. And same for the person that made it, like that did the quote. Like my boss and I checked the quote. We missed it too. We never missed another one though.
You're like, there'll never be something that low.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like these things happen. It happens. You got to deal with it. It's the risk of doing business.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. Is there same thing similar to you? Similar situation. Has there anything been like that where you were able to kind of take it and then obviously spin it to kind of like a learning lesson or a positive, whether it's internal or external, kind of with another consultant?
yeah, I think I told my best story in the first podcast, so I won't tell that one again. But another one that sticks out in my mind is like we were working on this project, doing site servicing and whatnot for an industrial building, poor soil conditions in the area, and we thought we thoroughly read the geotech report, but it turned out that we didn't. And basically there was peat within the trench zone, and the compressible nature of the peat has negative effects if you're like putting a bunch of granular backfill on it. It's
Yeah.
going to compress the peat below. And we missed the lightweight backfill specs, putting them on our drawings. And we didn't realize, even after the backfill was completed on a couple of utility segments, and we subsequently had to like go through and, you know, design for the deflection that was going to occur, and there was like all of this additional engineering that had to occur as a result. And, you know, in the same predicament as Joe there, like the only thing we could do was we were just honest with our client, and we're like, hey, like this is what happened, and
Yeah.
like here's how we're going to fix it. And, you know, obviously all of that additional time that we had to spend on the solution, like we ate it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was what we had to do because it was our error. But I think just the upfront communication
Yeah.
for the client was super important. And, you know, even internally, like I missed it, a couple people on my team missed it, but like at the end of the day, like what are you gonna do? You're not gonna
Don't dwell on it.
You're not gonna you're not gonna
Yeah.
berate the person, right, or the project team, because it's not gonna be productive. So
Yeah.
you know what happens now for everybody who worked on that project is you bet your bottom dollar we know every single sentence in the geotech report inside and out. But like you just have to turn these into learning opportunities, right? They're really good learning opportunities.
No, it's awesome to hear again that you're able to take something again that may have ruined your night, your week. Maybe, I don't want you to say your month. Hopefully not.
It was close to a month, but yeah.
That you're able to take something like that and actually turn it into a positive, where for the rest of the next X people amount of career, they're able to be like, okay, here's the importance of why we go through every single line and why you're trying not to miss these things.
For sure. And I think like it's just kind of like our client examples here. Like if your team knows that like they can be vulnerable and communicate their mistakes with you,
Yeah.
and you're going to support them, then like they're going to trust you. That's how you build trust, right?
Yeah.
So it's
almost
important
exactly
internally.
giving them the opportunities and empowering them to,
Yeah.
to compete with them.
Totally.
I
We
wouldn't
only learn
want
from
these-
her.
Sorry, I
No,
wouldn't
go
want
ahead.
these stories to like scare people into being like not wanting to make mistakes, because that's not good either. I've seen that a ton.
Yeah.
Where people are just like terrified to make a decision, and like everyone's gonna screw up. You know, every junior engineer will screw up pretty bad at some point, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And it's all how you learn from it.
So, no, that's it. And thank you again, guys, for the stories. Those are awesome. That's all we have for today. Again, I want to thank Don and Joseph for joining us and sharing their knowledge. Thanks to our listeners of the workshop by Aplin. Stay tuned for the next episode. Have a great day, everyone.